famous ham, hock and cabbage soup with a little bit of apple cider and beer. It's famous all around the world, and there's techniques in there that you must learn. If you can't go on cooking unless you learn these techniques. What do you think?
This is going to stretch me today, but I'm up for it. Bring it on.
I think it is. Now, what we start with is one of these things here, which is a slope of bacon. It's beautiful bacon. It's got a little bit of pancetta flavours to it. It's got some pepper on the outside of it, and I love cooking with it. It's got some fat in there, some muscle.
That's not been mucked around with, has it?
It hasn't. It's been smoked and cured. It's been fantastic. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this up and use this as the base of my soup.
Okay.
I'm going to get you over here. I've got some dill, some thyme, and some leek.
Yep.
I want you to pick the dill and chop it up nice and rough. And the thyme, if you can pick that a little bit and chop that nice and fine as well. And the leek, if you can cut it in half. I've washed it already. One of the most important things with leek is that you wash it really, really well.
Dirty down the bottom, can't it?
Exactly, and also cut into small dice for me as well. And while you're dicing that up, I'm going to grab my nice piece of bacon here, and I'm going to dice that up. So see if we can get it all the same shape and size.
Leek in soup is delicious, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic. They work so well together, leek and soup. But when you add bacon and ham hock and those flavours, you know it's going to be delicious. It's like a no-brainer, isn't it? Now, I make sure I use plenty of fat in here because that's going to render down and make the soup nutritious. What I want you to think about is you're in the mountains, it's cold, and you need all the help you can get to keep warm. And nothing is going to keep you warmer than a big chunk of bacon. It's guaranteed and scientifically proven. In fact, I'm about to write
so much from you, Richo. It's just unbelievable.
I'm going to write a thesis on the matter. I think I'm such an expert in these sorts of areas. But this is one of the things that keeps people alive. So if we are going trekking through the wilderness, I'm going to take a big bowl of ham hock soup. Now, I'm going to pop that straight into my pot. And you can hear that sizzling already. I'm going to turn it up a little bit, because I want the fat to render from the bacon and incorporate into the soup. You can smell that. It's delicious already. Now I'm going to add to that a bay leaf and get it rocking away. Now I haven't even added any oil in here yet, and I won't for another minute or so, but I won't use any oil. I'm going to use some butter, and that's going to render down and soften everything up. Now an onion, I'm just going to slice it through the middle here like this and cut it nice and fine. If you wanted to, you could leave this quite chunky, which is not a problem. Nice and chunky soups work really well. Now I'm going to throw the onion straight on top of the bacon. Can you smell that lovely bacon?
I can smell that lovely bacon.
Now they have said that bacon is the cure for vegetarians. So if you give them a little bit of bacon, often that'll just change their ways and get them eating meat again, which is what they really want to do. And if the bacon doesn't work, there's always this other thing. It's probably hard to get up, and I might have to describe it to you. It's called crackling, and that works every single time. So here we go.
Noted.
Here we go. Now I've got some garlic here, some nice fresh garlic, and I'm just going to cut this nice and chunky. Now if I put finely cut garlic into my pot here with the bacon sizzling away, it would burn really quickly. So I try and keep it around the same sort of size as the bacon and the onions. Now I'll give that a little bit of a stir around like this, and it's just starting to sweat down nicely. Now at this stage, Rosie, you're thinking, is there any more he can add to it? Well, yes, he's going to add some butter. And I've got some lovely butter here. I'm only going to add a little bit of butter, which to me, this is what I would consider to be a little bit. You don't even want to, you don't even want to know. You just want to turn away, don't you? It's just one of those dishes. Now, this is a little tip that I can tell people. Now, if you ever want to make something like this, you only want to add a little bit of butter. So what I do with the butter, it's really important, is you only ever put a little bit in. There we go. Just a little bit in, and just a little bit at a time. And it does seem a bit excessive, but as we...
could you use extra virgin olive oil?
You could use extra virgin olive oil, and that would be delicious. It's just that I love using butter, and this is like a survival soup. This is for people that are going out to Antarctica, and this is something they want to have with them. Now, something that's a little bit luxurious is this thing called truffle salt. Now, this is beautiful Murray River salt from the Murray River, but they put some truffle in there, which is like a fungus that grows. It's quite exotic and quite expensive, and it's got a real pungent flavour.
It has a real punch.
Now, this is a pretty hearty soup, and the truffle salt will add a beautiful flavour to it.
And it's very easy to do too much sometimes, isn't it? Start with small, add a little bit more, I think, with truffle.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to put some caraway seed in there, which is lovely. You can grind it down. But I love caraway seed just like this. It's going to cook in the soup for about an hour or so, an hour and a half, so it will soften up. And I love to pick it up with my spoon, and you can see the little fennel seed and the caraway seed in there. It holds up really well. Now, this celery here, and I'm going to get you to help me with this one. The celery, what I do is I slice it down the middle, and this is a great way to get a dice. You know how we're always talking about nice little squares and good shapes? If you cut it down the middle, and then cut it all the way down like this, you get a nice dice, a lovely little shape there. There we go. And I'll pick that up there and throw it into the pot. What we want to do is sweat all of this down nicely. You can see that's sweating down beautifully. I'm also going to put the thyme and the dill straight in. There we go. They're herbs that hold up really well.
Leek.
In goes the leek. There we go. In it goes. That's it, the rest of it there. And what you do is just turn that around just a little bit to sweat it off. Now, while that's sweating off there, Rosie, I've got the wombok there. Now, normally I would use a white cabbage, but what I'm going to use is Asian cabbage. And what I'll do is cut it all the way through the middle here. You can have half and I'll have half there. You've got to be careful to take the core out of it because that's going to hold it all together. And then with the cabbage, I just slice it all the way down here like this, through the middle, and then when you slice it, you get that lovely little dice shape as well. Nice and easy to do, and cabbage is really nice. And this wombok in particular is something I use a lot now. It's really, really sweet. Now what I'm going to do is pop that there for a second because it's going to go in soon. What I'm going to do is show you the ham hock. Now this is a ham hock that's been cooking for quite some time, and you can see it just falls apart. What we're going to do, once the wombok's in the soup and the stock's in there, we're going to pull this apart. It starts off nice and firm like this, which you can't really eat it like that, not that you're going to try, but once you simmer it away for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, it becomes really soft like this, and you get this beautiful stock which we're going to add to this. So I'm going to put the wombok in, the apple cider in, we'll pull this apart, and then we'll make a beautiful soup.